A dramatic political announcement from West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee as she breaks ranks with the opposition over the vice presidential elections. I'm Barkha, you're with the Mojo story. This is a very, very big political development. This evening, Mamta Banerjee, said to be miffed with the Congress party, has decided to abstain from the vice presidential election. She will be saying no, in effect, to Margaret Alva. Margaret Alba, of course, is the choice for the other opposition parties to become vice presidential candidate. And this is all happening on a day when, of course, the NDA candidate is going to be the next president. Remember, Mamata Banerjee has had a tempestuous relationship with the West Bengal governor, who is the NDA's candidate for vice president. To make sense of all of these developments, our newsmaker today is Derek O'Brien, the Trinamool Congress's parliamentary leader in the Rajya Sabha. Thank you, Derek. It's never a dull moment in your world and therefore in our world. So thank you for making the time in the midst of the madness. Why are you breaking ranks with the opposition? This is happening on a day when the NDA has, successfully won the presidential elections. It's happening on a day when Sonia Gandhi is being interrogated by the Enforcement Directorate. Other parties are making noise about opposition unity, and you've broken ranks. Why?
First, a little correction in your opening remarks. I know you never make mistakes. You're a seasoned pro. You said no to Margaret Alva. No,
Yeah.
that's not true. No, we say no to BJP and no to the name you mentioned. So we are no to the BJP candidate and we're no to the opposition candidate. So it's not a no to one of the two candidates. That having been said, you see, Mamta Banerjee made every effort for opposition unity for the president campaign. This is from a chief minister who fought an election in May 2021 with the same Congress party and the left, got together in Bengal, officially got together to take us on, and they had, at the local level, there was also some BJP understanding. Never mind. We left 2019 May behind, and by this year, we said, okay, this is the president candidate, let's try and do something. What is really happening, and I want to make one bigger point, that is, there are two kinds of parties there are two kinds of relationships with like-minded parties have with the Congress, the grand old party. One, we're all like-minded parties if you oppose the ideology of the BJP. So that's not the case. But for the Congress, the DMK is an electoral ally in Tamil Nadu. The NCP and the Shiv Sena, till a few days ago, would run a government with the Congress in Maharashtra. The RJD is an electoral ally with the Congress. The CPIM is an electoral ally with the Congress, and there are other examples. The TMC is not an electoral ally of the Congress. We are a like-minded party. So as much as we want opposition unity, yes, we have to remove this bigoted government of Modi and Shah, but the Congress the message today is, and it's very interesting that who did this press conference for the first time since he took over as National General Secretary a couple of years ago, Abhishek Banerjee, who normally doesn't do press conferences, but did this press conference. And he wanted to do the press conference. Other typically say, parliamentary party leader or spokesperson, but he did this press conference. So I think it's very, very significant. Hey, listen, we want to take on the BJP. We want to work with all of you together. But Congress party, hey, you don't take us for granted. Treat us as an equal partner. And then we'll go ahead and we'll find ways. We need to find maybe an event or maybe a topic or maybe an issue where we say, yes, this is a great idea for opposition unity.
You say that you want the Congress to not take you for granted and the Congress to treat you as an equal. Can you elaborate a little bit on how the Congress has failed to do that in this vice presidential election?
Yeah, so I did make the distinction, and I want to re-emphasize, I did make the distinction between A kind of party which is like-minded and B kind of party which is like-minded but not your ally or your electoral ally or you're running a government. So that's the basic first distinction. When you are looking at the vice president candidate, you see, lots of which is discussed in the back room must stay in the back room. Otherwise, there are people like us in parliament who will not be able to function. There is the back room. The bottom line here is that beyond the Congress, and here I'm not going to mince my words, there is the General Secretary of the CPIM. And I'm going to go direct. The General Secretary of the CPIM doesn't have much work to do in Bengal. The CPIM has 0 seats. The General Secretary of the CPIM, who have a lot of respect for at the personal level, that's different. Is in Kerala the story I hear? That's another story. So in Delhi, idle mind is the devil's workshop. So trying to get all this happening, if you look at these pictures, the one you're showing, look at the parties beyond the Congress. Okay, I see the DMK there. There are 7, 8, 9, 10 other parties who are single MP parties. No, you cannot come up with these names. We gave a name, we can have a discussion, you can't call us up 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the day. 17th is a meeting, here is the name. I believe that a lot of parties had an objection to A name, B name, but I'm not even going there because the name is not. Why should this is not about a name, because the score for this vice president election, I mean, nothing. It's obvious who will win. But the story here is that if you want good coordination in parliament, if you want us to talk and work together as a team, we are the second largest opposition party in number. We do believe that we will be the largest opposition, the largest party. We have a chance in the 2024. We'll do better than what the number of seats we have now. And we are very clear about our ideology, and we are opposed to the BJP and its bigoted, divisive ideology. So if I were to summarize all this, a little bit of humility, a little bit of, HR.
You're basically saying the Congress has bad people skills.
I don't want to make personal comments about the Congress party. I can tell you why the TMC took its decision. Congress has bad people skills or good people skills. I would not like to make a comment on other political parties. I can pass comments on my party, and I can tell you really, and it's not that somebody has to realize this. I'll tell you on your program, there are more than half a dozen senior Congress, and I'm not being naughty, but Barkha, that I speak to you now on television maybe once in 6 months, but I always open my. We may be in talks with so many people in the Congress party, so maybe they should improve their people skills. But on a more serious note, there has to be opposition unity. BJP, Amit Shah, they've ruined institutions, so many institutions. I don't want to go there. This whole parliament issue also about blaming the opposition for running parliament, bunkum. It's complete bunkum. The government don't want parliament to run because they know government is responsible to parliament is responsible to the people. So if they get parliament not to run, they are not responsible to the people. This is an old stunt of Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah. But to come back to the main issue, this is not only TMC. TRS is now new. I'm calling them new within double quotes, because for a long while now, TRS have been kind of between, sometimes with BJP, sometimes with Congress. Now they're very, very clear. So TRS are the new kids on the block. In fact, in a light-hearted way, TRS were protesting that day with the Congress. I told the TRS, good. You guys need to be right up there with the posters. We are taking it easy now in the first few days. But the party which is never ever discussed, you keep bashing the Congress, then you will say TMC didn't do TMC didn't do this, or DMK didn't do this. The biggest enabler of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP is BJP. At least what you see is what you get. You get the old Gujarat model shooting this. The biggest enabler and we should stop calling them the opposition, one of the opposition parties. They are the official ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And I will call them out.
Who?
Why don't you suggest the name?
No.
I can say yes or no. I'm giving you biggest
NCP?
ally.
NCP?
Of course,
BJP?
I would say no. They were running a government. 1 minute. NCP were running a government with Shiv Sena and Congress in NCP were running an ally. Yeah. So how do you call them the biggest enabler?
I'm assuming you're going to tell me someone who doesn't seem like an enabler but is. Do you mean the Congress party itself?
Enabler is the Biju Janata Dal and
Naveen Patnaik.
Patnaik. Mr.
Yes.
Naveen Patnaik and the Biju Janata Dal is never discussed. Everyone is very soft on the Biju Janata Dal. Inside Parliament, outside Parliament, there are hoax as a political party alliance. They're political party, fine, we respect all political parties, but they are the official allies of the BJP. And if you're talking about opposition unity, it's not just about the relationship with the Trinamool, the Congress and the others, and we'll get the relationship going, because there could always be some, messaging like this in the relationship, and this is messaging. But the Biju Janata Dal is the official ally. They should just come out and say it. That's all. And
what is the relevance of that to this? What is the relevance of that to this? Why?
It is very, very relevant. It is very, very relevant. And I'll tell you why. The unofficial ally most often is YSR. But it is relevant because all the narrative and all the discussions on opposition happens about, TMC did not did this, Congress did not did this, Congress need to do this. No, starting point is the Biju Janata Dal and Mr. Naveen Patnaik, are they allies of the BJP? Are they enablers of the BJP? Do they encourage the divisive, bigoted agenda of the BJP? That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make about opposition.
Okay, let's. The reason I was looking for parties within the opposition is I thought you might have to spring a surprise, and therefore I was being naughtier than you. But here's the question for you. Let's come to the other vice presidential candidate, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, West Bengal governor till now. He's obviously set to be vice president. Your party asked for this gentleman to be removed as governor. The chief minister of Bengal blocked him on Twitter, after which he put up a very hurt tweet saying this was not constitutional and so on. There it is, right? You have clashed openly with this man. You wanted to move a parliamentary resolution against him, and now that you have a chance to at least be counted on the other side, you're so angry with the Congress. You're obviously angrier with the Congress than you are with Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar. Please explain that.
Okay. Let me give you my answer in 3 points. Since you said the chief minister blocked him on the gentleman on Twitter. I've blocked him on Twitter. I've blocked him on my WhatsApp on my phone. I've blocked him on my SMS. That's the reality. This is about BJP's candidate, and BJP, we cannot vote for the candidate and we cannot vote for the BJP candidate. Second is, what do? We can stay out of this, or we can vote for a candidate of the opposition. My second part to the answer is, please judge us in the Rajya Sabha, with all due respect to the chair, because it's as I said, this election is just a formality. We will handle the vice president there. I don't think this is a question of, and number 3, the election number. It's a foregone conclusion. But just understand what happened that afternoon. It's a Sunday afternoon. Through some back channels, a name is conveyed, X name, and we are told that in 15 minutes. The name is being announced. On the 16th, one day before, TMC has announced that our parliamentary party meeting will be held on 21st of July, today. And at 4:30 p.m., at the conclusion of our parliamentary party meeting, we will be announcing our party's call on the vice president election. Now, you tell me, what did we do surprising? 16th, we made the announcement. 17th was this meeting. So meetings cannot happen when some party has about 40 plus 40 MLAs about and 225 MLAs and about 40 MPs. One only on the Trinamool Congress tickets and with the leadership of Mamata Banerjee. You got to stand up and say, listen, please, we are not, you will decide in Delhi with general factotum, general secretary of another party who is your principal advisor. We don't like it. I used to say this in private. Now I'm saying we don't like it, and it's not something which.
I mean, do
it's not about liking.
you mean Sitaram Yechuri? Clearly, your reference is again and again to him.
No, you can use all the names you want, and you said, you used a phrase, Barkha, which said we are miffed. This is not some love scrap as a boyfriend miffed with the girlfriend. Come on, this is political reality. You haven't asked me about the ED, but I will also mention about the ED.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll say Congress would. Why isn't somebody asked me today? Why haven't you all signed the Congress statement or the?
I was going to hang on. I'm not done. I opened by referring to this being the day when Sonia Gandhi was questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. There being a letter that 13 opposition parties signed and the Trinamool Congress did not. So of course I noticed that, and I therefore mentioned it in my opening. Tell us why you didn't sign that letter. Tell us why you didn't sign that letter.
So you have to answer me one question, and then I'll answer you the other. How many times has the Congress president been called to the ED? First time, today was the first visit.
Yeah.
And she's the number one in the Congress party, correct? How many times has our national general secretary, and in our party, the structure is we have a chairperson and a national general secretary. How many times in the last few months has our national general secretary been called to the ED? He, his wife, his family have all been called many times, more than half a dozen times. That time, nobody asked the Congress party, why didn't you show solidarity? Because this government is using a political vendetta. They're going after their political opponents. This is the same thing. They have the allies of the CBI and the ED. So if we're having a very frank discussion on the opposition, so on the way forward with the opposition, it can't be the way it was all these years. It has to change. That's why Abhishek Banerjee did the press conference today. Of course, we will work together. Of course, on so many issues, on serious issues, institutions are being mangled. Parliament is being mangled day in and day out. So many institutions, federalism is being mangled. You don't like my face, you'll put Zubair into the jail. The media is being mangled. We can come here and have a chat on Mojo. I'm not used to now. I need to have some water because I'm not used to. I don't go on TV. Now I'm not used to talking on TV. The anchor hasn't interrupted me for about 3.5 minutes because she wants to listen to my point of view. This is it. The media has become enablers, and from the TMC point of view, we will go on more digital platforms which are more independent and give us a chance to express ourselves and not be one out of 8 boxes. So are there any other questions? And I want to look forward to the parliament session.
Hang on. I have 2 more questions. I have 2 more questions.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about President Draupadi Murmu, about whom Ms. Banerjee said, if only the NDA had consulted us, she could have been a consensus candidate. We care about women. We care about the rights of Adivasi women in particular. This added grist to the mill to the Adhir Ranjan Chaudharys of West Bengal who say, Mamata Banerjee's done a deal. She has a deal with Mr. Modi. She's abstained from her candidate. She's talking about Ms. Murmu being a possible consensus candidate. And the whisper is that the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa convinced Mamata Banerjee to do this deal. This is what Congress men and women are saying.
You see, idle gossip over sweetened cups of coffee by the gentleman who is the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha. I might not say anything because you might as well talk to the people in the Congress party about the gentleman and whether they think he is the right person to lead the party in the Lok Sabha. You don't need a Trinamool MP to tell you that. Number two, you've told me the most amusing thing I've ever heard, that the chief minister of Assam, or will convince Mamata Banerjee. Where, I mean, 7-time MP, 5-time union minister, 3-time chief minister, gutted the CPIM, the left, and then after the misogyny and the catcalls and the nasty and the money used by the BJP, still we humiliated the BJP. This woman, this lady, this Mamata Banerjee will... Next question, if you may.
Okay, fair enough. My final question, or my final two questions, I still want to return to the West Bengal governor. Yes, you corrected me by saying it's not a no to Margaret Alva, it's also a no to Jagdeep Dhankar. But the fact is that obviously you're annoyed enough by the Congress or its factotums, by Sitaram Yechuri, by its calling you 15 minutes before, by its taking you for granted, enough to not take a position visibly against a man whom you have clashed with in public, who your leader has clashed with in public, who you have wanted removed as governor. Does that make sense to you?
Of course, it does make sense. And for that, you should judge me by action. You should judge the TMC by its action. We will come hard. And it doesn't matter who is in the chair. With all due respect to whoever is in the chair and always in the chair. But we come hard. We come hard in Parliament. You have somebody sitting in the chair who will not allow us to have our right for a vote or a division on the farmer bills. We'll come hard at you. And if you still look away from us, we'll come so hard we'll break a microphone also, because people also have to know why you're doing this. You'll come hard at you if you try and bulldoze in the Rajya Sabha and get your scripts in the morning from the Prime Minister and the Home Minister's office. So we will come hard. We have all the respect for the chair, but TMC, as usual, in both houses of Parliament, we will be an opposition which will take up people's issues. We want to take up these issues in collaboration with opposition parties, because I'll tell you, so-called regional parties, even though we're not a regional party, we're a national party, but we have a strong presence in a region. These parties find it a lot easier. I'm not talking about Naveen Patnaik's Biju Janata Dal, okay? But the other parties, we have a lot, ways of kind of working together on these issues. I left the Samajwadi Party out, in Uttar Pradesh. In Uttar Pradesh in 2024, most certainly Mamata Banerjee's TMC will do all it takes to work with Samajwadi Party, to put up candidates there, and some serious candidates to work together with the Samajwadi Party. We'll try and do the same thing in Bihar. We try to do the same thing in Goa. What did the Goa MLAs do there? The Congress candidates, they took them to the church, to the temple, to the masjid. They will never leave the Congress party. Now, what are they doing in Goa? So we will work towards that kind of... Is TMC opening a party office in Tamil Nadu? Of course we are not. Because we know that in Tamil Nadu, that's not a priority for us. There is Mr. Stalin and his DMK who are very well equipped to take on the BJP. Is TMC opening an office very soon in Punjab? I can tell you on record. No, there is someone already doing that. So this is the way the opposition has to move ahead. The Congress have to win its own states. The Gujarat elections are coming. Will the Congress win that? The Rajasthan elections are coming. There's no TMC and no opposition unity issue there. Will the Congress win that? The Himachal elections are coming. Will the Congress win that? I'm not here to... I don't want to give political commentary. These are the realities. So rather than say who supported, how supported, I think Congress have got off to a good start in the Rajya Sabha. There are 5 or 6 or 10. There's a freshness there. I've seen them in the last 2-3 days. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Come hard, work together. Don't try these stunts with us because this one was a serious message. Now we've given you the message. Now come, let's work together to take on the BJP.
Do you think as we close that the choice of Mr. Yashwant Sinha by the Trinamool was a mistake when you later say that Ms. Murmu could have been a consensus candidate? Are you conceding that mistake?
For another interview, or maybe in Mr. Yashwant Sinha's autobiography, you can ask him. I have a lot of respect for sir. Whose candidate was Yashwant Sinha? Was he a candidate propped up, pushed by the Trinamool Congress? But all I can tell you is Mr. Yashwant Sinha has fought a great, wonderful campaign, remarkable, and I wish him well. Fabulous experience, lovely gentleman at 85, and what a beautiful way to go. He ran a fantastic campaign with so much of grace, hard hitting, spoke his mind, and I think we wish him well. And it would be inappropriate for me to get into the throwing of muck. Who did this? Who did that? Let Mr. Yashwant Sinha walk away into the political sunset tomorrow. He deserves that.
Okay, that's a story I'm putting down in my diary to get one out of you, a new headline on another day, Derek. Thank you. Always fun talking to you. You know what? You give the best provocative one-liners. It's hard to keep pace. Everything from "this is not a love scrap" to "don't try these stunts for us." So I'm now waiting to see what the Congress pushback to this will be. But thank you, Derek O'Brien. On a day when the Trinamool Congress decides to abstain from the vice presidential elections, it won't be supporting Margaret Alva, and it won't, of course, be supporting the West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar. Either the man whom Mamata Banerjee famously blocked on Twitter. Never a dull moment in Indian politics. Derek, we let you go and have dinner now. Thanks for talking to us. Take care. Bye. 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 It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.